Hi, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to another episode of Achieving Perfection. This is going to be for the Legacy, the Dragon War, and for the Bolas Node. So, per the usual, I'm going to show off the decks that I would suggest, and then I will go over the node, and then get into how would I build decks if I did not have the cards displayed in these two. So, to start with, here is my deck for newer players. All of the rares except for the Compass are Origins again, except, I suppose Plaza of Harmony. And the Dragon's Horde is an event reward. And for players who have basically everything, I would honestly just suggest that you go with an Omniscience deck. So I would go with something like this. All right, let's get into the node. So for the node itself, we need to use a blue, a black, or a red planeswalker. Our objectives are to win the fight, deal 15 or more damage during a single turn, which is a pretty easy objective as things go, and win with only cards that cost 11 or more mana. That's the tougher part. The permanent support is going to make it so that whenever you use your first ability, deal 5 damage to your opponent's planeswalker. Whenever you use your second, return the first creature card from your graveyard to play. And your third, if your opponent would draw a card during their next turn, you draw that instead. And all those cards gain full mana. So all three abilities here are pretty decent abilities, but really you want to build around Prodigal. Now, because of Prodigal, honestly, I think that if you don't have Omniscience, Koth is your best bet. So just use Koth. Koth is probably the best planeswalker in the game for playing really high mana cost cards. So you'll go through your matches really, really quickly with Koth. So let's get back into the deck. All right, so for the beginner deck, this one is the Koth deck. So for this deck, you want to make sure that you have gem conversion, a bunch of it. So that's why I'm running both Dragon's Horde and Plaza of Harmony. They're just going to be converting to red. And then for the third support, since Koth can only have 3 supports, I'm running Thaumatic Compass. It's going to completely neuter the opponent's first creature. And with removal and Berserker stuff, ideally, because of Spires of Erasca, you're able to just get rid of all of it, keep your creatures down, and keep yourself pretty safe. It also helps keep you safe from nonsense like Olivia and Decimator, which is nice. For creatures, the Scab Clan Berserker is a great card to have, so if you don't have it yet, you're a newer player, you definitely want to get your hands on it. It's a solid card all the way up through the tiers. There are obviously better cards that exist, but it's still a very good card. Abbot of Carol Keep is just a more expensive version of Volcanic Rambler, so this is just going to help make sure that you're getting you're getting Cascades. So it's going to give you loyalty, which is going to enable you to use Koth's abilities more. Silverclad Ferocidons are going to serve as removal for creatures and for supports, and it's a pretty solid beady creature as in 8/5. So remember, mana cost doesn't really matter for Koth. For our other spells, it's actually pretty hard to find support removal in this range. So By Force is going to destroy up to 3, and Abrade is going to potentially destroy a creature and a support. So they're both pretty useful. Engrath's Rampage is going to go ahead, just knock out a creature or Vanguard. So between Engrath's Rampage and By Force, we have removal for everything in the game. And then we have True Fire Captain. This is double strike. It's just a pretty strong monster. And so with Koth's creature buffing abilities, it's going to give you a lot more kill potential. So this is a really good deck. It'll do great for you in bronze, silver, and gold. In platinum, it might be a little bit harder, but that's just because you're probably going to run into a lot of Omniscience decks. So for players that do have like basically everything, you're definitely going to want to go with an Omniscience deck here. Make sure Omniscience is your only support, and you're running it in conjunction with Whir of Invention. So all the cards need to be 11 or more. Whir is 11, so you just pair these two, and it just completely eradicates the whole mana cost portion of the node. For the other stuff, you want card draw, stuff that's going to draw you into Whir of Invention and Omniscience and is going to give them mana. So Apex of Power is going to do that. Behold the Beyond is going to do it. They're both confirm cancel spellcasts. So once you have Omniscience down, if you don't want to cast them, just hit the cancel button. They're not going to get really that stuck in your hand. You want creatures that draw cards, so Kozilek and Combustible Gear Hulk are great. The Gear Hulk is just going to win you games outright. It comes down, and with all the other card draw in the deck, you just draw through and kill your opponent pretty immediately. Decimator of Provinces is just going to help in the event that you want a little bit of extra oomph to kill with your creatures, so great card. Now, for removal, we have to be pretty careful here because we're using expensive cards, so we can't use cheap removal. But Doomfall is just an absolutely amazing card, and maybe you haven't used it lately because it's a legacy card, but it's going to exile your opponent's first creature and the first card in your opponent's hand. So not only is it going to get rid of a creature, but you don't have to target it, it's exiled, and you're getting rid of the first card in your opponent's hand. So if they've been charging up mana, and this is a node where they're going to need to charge up mana because everything's going to be really expensive, it just gets rid of it. Doomfall is an amazing card for this node. River's Rebuke is going to get rid of everything, and Hour of Devastation just serves as Burn the World. You can use something other than Hour of Devastation, especially since we're going to be using River's Rebuke and Doomfall, but this is what I am planning to use myself. Alright, so let's go ahead and say that you can't make either of the decks that I displayed. What are some other cards that I would suggest for this node? Well, a lot of people are going to be struggling to run support removal. It's pretty hard to remove supports at these costs. So if you have it, Lich's Mastery is going to put in a whole lot of work for you on this node. It very well may even wind up saving you a game or two. So giving yourself prevent damage is huge. It's great. It's actually one of the reasons why I like Hour of Devastation in my Omniscience deck. It gets rid of the prevent damage. So it just goes, nope. But yeah, Lich's Mastery is going to put in a whole bunch of work for you on this node. Oath of Liliana is another great card. It's going to kill creatures, and then it's going to produce tokens every turn. So since removal is really hard to come by at this mana cost, it's going to make it so that your opponent winds up wasting a ton of mana to get rid of creatures that you're making every single turn. So Oath of Liliana is another card that's going to be putting in quite a lot of work in this node. If you're looking for some easy mana gains, then you don't have Omniscience, your best bet's Storm the Vault. It hasn't been gone for long. It's 11 mana, so we can use it. It's going to flip and then do terrible, terrible, terrible things to the mana base of the game. So Storm the Vault is a great substitute for Omniscience if you want to be getting a ton of mana. If you're completely new to the game, I know that I showed it off in the Koth deck, but you're going to want to go ahead. No. You're going to want to go ahead and use Dragon's Horde. So Dragon's Horde is going to be converting gems for you. It's going to be drawing cards. It meets the mana threshold requirement, so it's going to be pretty good for you. So basically, make sure that you're running removal that's going to be putting in a lot of work for you. As for creatures, you want creatures that are going to be able to serve as more than just creatures. So here we're actually going to see a few standard creatures that are going to be pretty good. Olivia's great for this, but this is not standard. So, I mean, the event isn't standard anyway, so it doesn't matter. But Olivia's a great creature. Let's see. Where did it go? Drowner of Hope. Also another not standard creature, but great for the node. You run this in conjunction with Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct puts in crazy work on this node too. I should not discount that. A Killer Instinct, Drowner of Hope deck, you just run Killer Instinct and Drowner of Hope. By just Killer Instinct and Drowner of Hope. I mean, Killer Instinct with the only creature being Drowner of Hope. You're going to lock down your opponent's entire creature board every single turn. They're just doomed. So, great combo. But what I really was looking for was Razia. Rakdos puts in pretty good work. Razia is going to go ahead, block everything, kill everything, stay on the board, and then kill your opponent. So if you've just been focusing on standard cards, Razia is pretty great here. And then Etrata is another one that's pretty great here because Etrata removes things. Now, if you aren't mythic heavy, if you're looking for some really good rare options, within blue, we've actually got a few pretty darn good cards. So I actually really like oh, it's a newer card, Agent of Treachery. So if you have 2 or fewer creatures, you just steal permanently the opponent's first creature. So this is going to be great for you. It also draws cards. It's got a 5/6 body, which is pretty solid. So this is going to be a great card for this node too. So push comes to shove, you've really got a lot of options. Dungeon Geists is going to serve as great control. And my final suggestion is Etali, because Etali is going to be stealing cards. It's going to be giving them full mana. And then as is stealing the cards and giving them full mana, ideally everything that you're taking is going to be 11 or more mana. And don't worry if you take a card that costs less than 11 mana. Remember, you control the card, but you don't own it, so it doesn't go against you. I've not tested whether or not if you play the card it counts against you, but taking it does not. So do not play the card, but if you take it with Etali, it's not going to ruin your objective. Don't worry. Etali is just going to largely steal you big things that are amazing and are great for you. So those are my suggestions. I hope you go perfect. Hope to see you in the next one. See you later.